All right, for my students that are virtual, I wanted to just go over what needs to be in your notebook so that you can take the test and do well tomorrow. So we first of all started with our new unit, which is called Plant Systems. And so it should look like this. Oh my goodness, it's backwards from what I'm... So you have a title page. Then after that, we did the lima bean dissection. So you should know the parts of the lima bean and their functions. I'm big about asking questions about functions. So if you ever see a word or a particular structure or part of something, you need to know its function. So this next one was on how plants reproduce. They reproduce sexually and asexually. You need to know the characteristics of asexual reproduction, advantages and disadvantages, and then sexual reproduction, the characteristics, advantages, and disadvantage. I am going to ask you a question. There will be a picture of one of these types of asexual reproduction, and you'll need to be able to identify it. So make sure you have examples of each one of those. It is hard doing this backwards. Okay, after that day, we had a flower dissection. This is a matching part of the test, and you'll need to know all of these parts and what their functions are. For example, I may say, what are the petals for on a flower? They're to draw pollinators or to attract pollinators. What do the seeds or eggs turn into? They turn into seeds. So you'll need to know those. So make sure if you have not gone in and sketched all of the parts of the flower dissection that you get those done. If you didn't have a flower to dissect with, at least watch the dissection and sketch in the parts. After that, I ask you to write in an explanation of how pollination takes place. So if you watch the video from this dissection, I explained how pollination takes place in flowers, in plants. So this may take you 4 or 5 sentences to explain to me. Upload those to Floop if you've not done so yet. Then we had tropisms. This is how our plants turn towards something or move towards something. That's called a positive tropism. If it moves away from something, that's a negative tropism. So moving toward light, that is a positive tropism, and it leans toward the window. Then we had hydrotropism. Hydro reminds us of water. And so you need to write there, moving toward water. And you had a picture of some water there. Gravitropism means earth, gravity or earth. It can also be called geotropism. So the roots move toward the earth, the leaves move away from the earth. So that's actually a negative tropism when the leaves move away from the earth. Then we had up here thigmotropism, which when plants respond to touch. So like a vine wraps around a fence, or maybe a Venus flytrap snaps shut, that's responding to touch. You need to know what germination means. When the little seedling emerges from the seed, when it breaks open and uses force and breaks open that seed coat and comes out of that seed coat. There are about 4 or 5 types of seed dispersal, so you need to know the 4 or 5 types of seed dispersal and put those there and give kind of examples to just show me that you understand what seed dispersal is. If you haven't uploaded that to Floop, you need to do that. Then we had Xylem and Phloem. I gave you a picture that looked like this. If you are at home, you might have to sketch it, or if you've got a printer, you can print a picture that's very similar to this. Then you need to know what xylem carries, and is it a one-way or a two-way tube? Phloem, what does it transport? Is it one-way or two-way? I bet if you look over here, you can find those answers. As you watch the video, you should see how the vascular bundles of xylem and phloem are looking in a dicot and a monocot. So whenever you do these, the vascular bundles are going to be positioned, and there's place in the video that you're going to see two circles side by side, and it's going to talk monocot and dicot, and it's going to show you the position of those vascular bundles. So any dicot plant, any bean plant, any flower plant that are dicot, they're all going to have the vascular bundles arranged the same way. Next, you're going to go to today's lesson, which is going to be talking about Turgor pressure. And I wanted you to draw a picture of what low Turgor pressure looks like in a plant. And I put the little smiley faces to remind you that if a plant has high Turgor pressure, it's happy. It's going to be getting enough water, and it's really happy. Over here, a low Turgor pressure plant, if it has low Turgor pressure, low pressure in the cells, there's not enough water, what's that plant going to look like? Down at the bottom, you need to tell me, osmosis. So osmosis is the flow of water through the cell membranes, and it always flows from low solute to high solute. So let me show you a picture of this. Today we put these potatoes in fresh water, like you saw in the video if you did today's lesson. And whenever we look at this one is pretty rigid. It's crunchy. It'd be a nice one just to, if you like raw potatoes, it'd be crunchy and nice to eat. This one, on the other hand, is put in salt water. And so watch this one. So the water went out of the cells in this potato stick into this water. It was trying to neutralize or balance out the solute amount by letting some more water flow into it, but it never will be able to do that because there's not enough water in here to compensate for all that salt. So this is low Turgor pressure. All of the water or most of the water has flowed out of the cells. So low, and this is high Turgor pressure. It stays nice and tight and rigid. Then on the next page, you had Auxin. Let me go over here. Whew, I'm so sorry that I can't get this adjusted because it's hard to do it backwards. You had Auxin, which is right here, and I want you to watch the video about Auxin and tell me what Auxin does in a plant. What does it cause? And if you want to draw a sketch to represent that, you can add a sketch and label it. And then levels of organization. Draw me a plant cell. Then what is plant tissue? There's an example of it in the assignment today. And then an organ like a leaf or a whole root or the stem. That's an organ. The organ system would be the whole root system or all of the leaves, and then the organism is the complete plant. So if you have a printer, you can print that picture that is in your lesson today, or you can just sketch some pictures in there. Tomorrow is your test. It is about 23 questions, 24 questions. There's a lot